Amoah. Dr. Benjamin Amoah is a lecturer with the Finance Department of the University of Ghana Business School. He is also the patron for the Improving Financial Awareness and Financial Literacy Association of University of Ghana. Mr. Peter Nyarko is the Executive Director for the Center of Financial Literacy Education in Ghana. Welcome, Mr. Nyarko, and welcome, Dr. Amoah.
Thank you very much for having me.
You're welcome.
Hello, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Welcome. It's a privilege to have you here on Smart Money Talk. For the rest of us, remember to drop your questions and your comments in our comment section or in our chat box if you are joining us from Zoom. Also remember that each and every month we reward 3 lucky viewers for answering the question of the week correctly. So if you don't want to miss out on the pension vouchers, kindly look out for the question of the week, answer it correctly, and you stand a chance to win one of our pension vouchers for the month. So welcome once again. Let's talk about the Financial Literacy Month. As I mentioned, April is the Financial Literacy Month. We want to know a bit more about the financial literacy movement in Ghana.
Thank you for having me, and good afternoon to your viewers across the globe. Okay, Financial Literacy Month, April, was officially launched on the 31st of March at the University of Ghana Business School as our maiden program to reach the whole of Ghana with financial literacy and financial awareness. This was in partnership with the Improving Financial Awareness Movement of Ghana. We are a partner to the movement, and we happen to be the university wing and the research think tank for the movement. So for the month of April, as you already know, we had some industry engagement where individuals from industry together with academia came together to officially unveil and to launch this movement. From then, we have had some seminars and webinars, and hopefully on Friday, we'll be continuing with an outreach at Medina, this time around being led by the Center for Financial Literacy Education Africa. That is Mr. Peter Nyarko's NGO.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, Mr. Peter, can you tell us why financial literacy is so important and why we have to set aside a whole month to talk about financial literacy?
Okay, thank you very much. Financial literacy is important because I would say, first of all, we live in an economic planet. So everything that we do involves money. And financial literacy gives you the skill set to be able to manage your personal finance and to be able to make the right decision when it comes to your financial life. And looking at our system, financial literacy is something that is not in a massive move. So most people do not know about financial literacy. Financial literacy isn't taught in schools and all that. So I think we are setting aside a month to create awareness on financial issues because it is something that is lacking in the system. And we want people to become aware and start planning towards their finances. It is really, really an important skill that we think each and everyone needs to have access to it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So what are some of the effects of financial illiteracy, just to build on the point that you just mentioned?
Okay. So okay, Prof, you can.
Okay, thank you very much. And from where Peter left off, I'll also say that financial literacy is very important because the population that will engage the financial market should have the knowledge and skill set to be able to engage the financial market in a beneficial manner. You don't want to have a population that is not financially literate and you expect them to be actively engaged in financial market activities. You can basically decompose the financial market into the banking, into the insurance, into the pension, and into the fund management industry. Now, if you want the market participants to be able to effectively participate, they must have the needed skill set. And it is financial literacy and financial awareness that gives them that level of confidence and that level of knowledge to actively engage in the financial market. Again, if individuals will borrow because they want to fund a gap, they must know why they are borrowing, and they must know that they have to service these loans. If they are not financially literate, it becomes difficult for them to appreciate the reason why they need to service loans. If they have to invest, if they have to buy pension products, they need to know why they have to buy these pension products. If they are not financially literate, it becomes a difficult task to get them to appreciate why they need to plan for their retirement. So bottom line, if we want the economy to grow, then we must have a population that is above level financial literate, so they can appreciate the things of finance and then save and pool funds together. That investment houses can also lend onward to the government to undertake most of the major infrastructure development that we want to see around. So financial literacy is very, very important. Then to the question that you asked, what is the cost of financial literacy? Where you are saddled with a working population that is financially illiterate, then what you are doing is that you are creating a dependency problem in the future, where these individuals who have worked in their adult life will not have saved enough or invested enough for their pensions and for their retirement. When they go on retirement, they become a social burden to the society. You don't want to run an economy and a country like that. So you want to rather invest in these individuals as they are young and as they work, so that when they are able to save, by the time they get to retirement, they will have something that they can live on. Senate has been complaining that funds are not enough. How will we be able to pull funds together and engage in personal pension plans if we are not financially literate? We don't want to have that social burden. Again, our family system is becoming more and more nuclear, where the extended family support system can no longer be relied on. You are on your own. And so if you do not plan, you will not be able to what? To be able to survive. The only way you can do that is to have the needed skill. And that needed skill is to be equipped with the knowledge and skill set that comes through financial literacy, so you can be financially independent and you will not be a social burden when you go on retirement. So this is what I will say for now. As and when the discussion brings up issues, I hope we'll address it. Thank you.
Okay, so from what I'm getting from this discussion, financial literacy provides you with the skill set to be able to take good financial decisions to assure you some peace of mind and some your overall enhance your overall well-being as an individual, hence the need. Thank you so much. So let's discuss the building blocks for financial planning. We know that when it comes to financial planning, there are several things that, you know, when you put together, gives you something concrete. What are these building blocks? And we'll start with you, Peter. What are some of the building blocks that we should be looking at as individuals?
Okay, thank you very much. When it comes to personal finance, there are principles you need to know to be able to manage your personal finance. And every organization has its own principles. So we, being part of the Improving Financial Awareness and Financial Literacy Association, we have developed what we call the Foundation to Financial Literacy and Financial Awareness. And this is what we call the building blocks to financial planning. And it's in two folds. We have one that we call the getting organized. You need to get organized with your financial matters. Then after getting organized, you move to the actual financial planning. So let me start with the getting organized. Okay. We are saying that before you can plan your finances, you need to get organized with your paperwork. When we say paperwork, what are your paperworks? We are saying from the very moment you were giving birth to, they gave you a birth certificate. Since that time, your paperwork has been increasing. Now you engage in investment transaction, you are given an investment certificate, you rent an apartment, you are given a rent contract, you buy a land, you are given documents. So we are saying that you need to organize all this paperwork. All your financial documents should be easily accessible. You should be able to access them as and when you need them. And someone in your family or someone in your household should also have access to them. So in case of emergency, that person can take it and then help you out. And then from there, we also say you need to know your net worth. You need to know how much you are worth. So you need to know your net worth, how much you are worth. And this is by getting to know your assets and getting to know your liabilities. Assets are things that you own, and liabilities are things that you owe. So you should be able to distinguish between these two, and you should be able to know how much I am worth. If you're able to deduct your liabilities from your assets, you get to know your true financial situation. Then you should also know your cash flow, how your money is moving in and moving out. Where do you make your money? How do you make your money? You should know all these things and keep track of them. What expenses do you incur? Where is your money going? You should also know all these things by getting organized. Then we have employment benefits. So as an employee, you should know some of the benefits your employer is giving you. And so once you combine all these 4 elements, you are getting yourself organized. And this is the first major block of the financial planning process.
Okay, so let me just repeat before we go to Dr. Amma to continue with the second part. So first of all, you said we should get organized by putting our paperwork together. Our paperwork mean any transaction that we've done, especially with the important ones. We should have some hard copy as well as, if possible, soft copy, documents, in our file, or organize them, put somewhere safe. Secondly, you said we should know our net worth. Our net worth giving us a picture of our financial health. And you said we should know our assets. So we should be able to tell that this is an asset and this is a liability. And to calculate your net worth, you need to subtract your liabilities from your assets. Just before I mention the last one, can you give us an idea of what assets are as an individual? What are assets to me as an individual? What are liabilities to me? Maybe a bit vague to some of us. So if you can kindly emphasize.
Okay, thank you. So to simplify it, I would say assets are things that put money into your pocket. Assets are things that gives you money, and liability are things that takes money out of your pocket. So they are things you spend money on.
Okay, can you give us some practical examples?
Okay, so for assets, let's say if you own a rental property and it gives you money, that becomes an asset. And if you own a business and the business gives you money, that business becomes an asset. So I always say that for most people, their only asset is themselves, because they work to earn money. And the moment they stop working, they are not making money. So they become their own assets. And liabilities are things that takes money out out of your pocket. So let's say if you own a private car and that private car does not give you any money, but you rather spend money on, then that private car becomes an asset, becomes a liability. So it takes money out of your pocket. Yes.
So in accounting terms, it's an asset, but when it comes to investment, we see it as a liability.
Sure, because it is not giving you money.
Okay, great. So you mentioned that, and then you also mentioned employee benefits, cash flow. The need for us to know the sources of our income, where it's coming from, and where that money is going. And then last but not the least, you mentioned employee benefits. A lot of us are working, and a lot of us don't even know all the benefits are available. So the need for us to probe further and then also take advantage of it where necessary. So thank you so much, Peter Nyarko. Doc, let's talk about the main meat, financial planning. What are the building blocks?
Okay. Peter was talking about the getting organized aspect, and we have it in what we call the FA Infinity Sign, which is made up of 11 major blocks, 11. He presented 4. So that 4 is what we capture as getting organized. Now that you have yourself organized, you have to move into financial planning. And the financial planning now takes us through the 7 steps or the 7 blocks of the building blocks. So the first one here under financial planning is your goals. Identify your goals, short-term, medium-term, long-term. In the short term, where do I want to stay? What do I want to buy in the short term, maximum 1 year? In the medium term, you may want to consider anything up to 3 years, between 1 and 3 years. What do you want to do? What are your goals? Maybe you want to go to school. Where do you want to go to school? How much will it cost you to go to school? That can be a medium-term goal. And then the long-term goal, you are talking about 10 years, 15, 20. You want to go on retirement. How much do you want to have when you go on retirement? What investment vehicles can lead you to have that comfortable life that you want to have in the long term? What colleges do you want your children to attend in the long term? So if you're able to identify these short-term, medium-term, and long-term goals, we then look at the financial implications of these goals. In financial planning, you don't wait for issues to confront you. What you do is that you rather try to break the future into the present by looking at them in smaller chunks so that they don't take you by surprise. You work towards them in smaller bits and you are able to achieve it. So you're talking about short-term, medium-term, and long-term goals and goals. Then after that, you can talk about financial independence or retirement. That is a 6th block. You are not going to work forever. At a point in time, your earnings ability will decline. Either you come on retirement or sometimes through sickness, or even something can happen that will cause you to have a reduction in your income. That is where retirement sets in. The question is, how do you want to live when you go on retirement? Will you be financially independent to live that life that you want to live when you go on retirement? When your incomes are not coming in, that you are used to. You need to also plan towards that. SNITs, and from what we read in the newspapers, cannot take care of you the way you want to. Tier 2 is available, and Tier 3 pension is also available. These are opportunities that exist for us to tap into so we can have comfortable retirement life when we go on retirement. Aside that, you can also set up your own personal pension fund apart from these 3. These are things that we think when you do, you could be financially independent as a 6th block. Then the 7th one is what we call major expenditures. Peter talked about cash flows. Cash flows, your inflows and outflows. These inflows and outflows are many at times influenced by our major expenditures. If you want to buy a house, if you want to buy a car, big ticket transactions are not everyday transactions. These are things you need to plan for. When you do your planning, the financial planning and goals, you are able to know at what point in time you want to buy that house, at what point in time you want to buy that car. So you can start planning. You can start nosing around and be researching which financial institutions can help you with the best offer. That will help you to undertake the major expenditures. So identify your major expenditures and then plan towards it. 8, you need investment. If you want to achieve financial independence, you have to consider your investment options. Which investment options will help you? It depends on your risk level. It depends on your risk profile. It depends on how many years you have to achieve that goal. All this must be considered. Are you going to use the route of shares, or you want to combine shares and bonds, or you want to combine some money markets? You need to identify your investment instrument, and this investment instrument should be able to tailor into your goals and to help you to achieve that independence. The 9th one is what we call taxes. Once you earn income, the law requires that you pay your tax. Many a times we don't take advantage of tax benefits. We don't know that as we marry and we have 1, 2, 3 children, there are some tax benefits that comes to us. Many of us are not aware. And so even the time we pay our taxes, sometimes disadvantages us. We need to identify when to pay the tax and when to do our tax planning so we can have some tax benefits and then some tax income coming to us. Having done all this, we need to be aware of what you call the risk management aspect within our financial plan. Each of the blocks has in it some level of exposure or risk. When you buy the house, when you buy the car, you need to have some insurance, fire, homeowners insurance, other form of insurance must be purchased to protect this investment. Because if you do not purchase this insurance to manage your risk, there can be a big exposure that will dissipate everything that you have invested. You may want to use a hedging technique to hedge your financial investment, but the building that you have, the car that you have, you need an insurance, a fire, flood, health insurance, etc. to come in to take care of the exposure. And then the last one, which is the 11th one, is what we call the estate and gift planning. At the end of the day, you will be exiting this world, you'll be transitioning. All the assets that you have acquired, all the properties that you have acquired, how do you want it to be distributed upon your demise? You need to have an attorney who can help you call a lawyer. You need to have a will that identifies who gets what and how your estate should be distributed. These are things that we see as things you have to do from time to time. You don't just do it at one point in time and leave it. Periodically, you have to do this because your situation and conditions will be changing as you go through the life cycle. So once you develop this behavior, it becomes less easy. It becomes more easy as you move on and you plan. So these are the major blocks we have in the building blocks to successful financial planning.
Very, very, very interesting. And the reality is all of them are important. There isn't one that is more important than the other. So let's take goal setting. If you can just give us, a little guideline as to how we can go about it. For the average person, joining us today, how can we go about setting goals? Because sometimes we get caught up in, chasing things that other people want for us. Like maybe by the age of 30, you should have this, you should have that, and that becomes your goal. How can we set our own goals, that work for us?
Okay. Then we need to understand what we call the individual's working life cycle. We have divided this into 3 blocks.
Okay.
Every individual who is working will go through what we call the family formation or accumulation phase. And in most cases, it's between ages, let's say 25 to about 35. In Ghana, most of us start working after national service. And if you look at the age bracket, mostly between 24, 25. If you're lucky, you get a job around 25, 26. Between 25 to 35 is what we call the family formation and accumulation phase. That is the time that you are thinking about settling and beginning a family.
Okay.
The goals at that point is a bit different. That is not the time that you say, oh, I want to go and put up a 5-story building. At that point, the immediate goals are, I want to settle. I want to just have a small car to carry maybe my family in and out of work. So that should be your goal.
Okay.
At that point in time too, when you look at your investment options, because you are young, all things, we are going to work till about age 60, that is the time that you can undertake some of the risky investment, because you have a lot of time to learn from the outcome of this investment. Having moved from that level, then you go to what we call the consolidation phase between ages 14 to about 55. At that level, you have passed through what we call the family formation stage. Most of your children are maybe in upper primary or secondary school, and so the needs there will also change. The goals you have will also change. The type of investment you will be making will also change, because you have transitioned from one phase of your life cycle to the next stage. At that point in time, your income is most likely to be more, because you have gained experience on the job and you are having maybe a middle level or maybe a management level position. This will also influence what goals you can set, because from that point, you are going to the gifting and spending phase. So your goals and investment vehicles will also have to change. From the consolidation phase, you go to what we call the gift and spending and estate planning phase. That is the point where you are around maybe age 55 onwards. That is not the time you have to go into risky investment. At that point, your goal in investment is capital conservation. How do I conserve the little that I have? That is not the time you'll be considering share investment, because shares are risky. That is a time that you are not going to earn much. So your interest is, where will I get income? So everything you are looking for by way of investment is income. Any wrong investment around that age becomes problematic. And you don't want to be getting yourself involved in such risky investment at this point in time. So my answer to your question is, we need to identify which phase of our life cycle we are in. And having identified that phase, it will then inform the type of investment and goals that we can set and what we can get ourselves into. But then the phases are three: family or accumulation phase, growing and consolidation phase, and then the estate and gift planning phase. And this is what all of us will go through. And these stages also influence the type of goals and the type of investment that we can undertake.
Interesting. I think it's very important to look at the life cycle, because sometimes you're going on retirement, and with your money, small money you've been able to accumulate, you end up going into certain investments that are quite risky and come to bite you later on. So thank you very much for that. So you spoke about setting goals, and we spoke about financial independence and retirement planning. Can you throw a little light on what really financial independence means, and why we should be, why it should be something that we work towards?
Okay. When we talk about financial independence is that stage of your life where you can live on your own without unnecessarily contracting debt that puts excessive pressure on you. It implies that you know what you want, you have accumulated enough funds so that in an extreme case where you are taken by event or by surprise, you are not caught unaware and you go begging. At least you have something that you can live on till you get yourself out of that difficulty. If you can plan in such a way that you'll be able to manage yourself up to about 1 year, 2 years without struggling to meet any financial obligation, then one can comfortably say that you are financially independent. Many a times we push financial independence to after work. But then trust me, there are people who are even working who are not financially independent because they mismanage their resources to the extent that 1 week, 2 week delay of salary is a problem. We want to see a situation where 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, if there should be a lockup in salary, we can move on with life as if nothing has happened. If we can get to that stage, then one can comfortably say that we are financially independent. But this comes with planning. This comes with knowing what to manage, and this comes with setting aside emergency funds for some of these rainy days that may come our way in our lives.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Amoah. So we'll start taking some of the questions that are coming in. And if you have any question, kindly remember to drop it in our comment section below so that we'll do well to have it answered. We have a question from Michael Owusu, and he's asking, which of the goals can we put building of a house?
Okay, thank you very much. Building of the house is a medium to long-term goal. A medium to long-term goal. Again, building of the house depends on your stage in the life cycle. Your stage in the life cycle. If you are at the gift and spending phase, 55 to 60, building of the house will be an immediate or short-term goal. Why? Because you are coming on retirement. If you don't have anywhere to stay, you need to be thinking about getting a house. Again, if you are young and you are in the family and formation stage, because you can rent a facility, you realize that building a house will not be an immediate or a short-term goal. So depending on your life cycle, which stage you are in the life cycle, will then position which goals becomes short-term and which goals becomes what? Long-term. So we need to first know where we are on the life cycle. And where we are on the life cycle can then help us to quickly realign the goals. I may present a goal as short-term, medium-term, and long-term, but then depending on your life cycle, it may even be the other way around, depending on which aspect of the life cycle the individual will find himself or herself on.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So I think there's a request to repeat the list of financial planning blocks. So we mentioned the goal setting, the financial independence and retirement planning.
The 7 is major expenses.
Major expenses. We mentioned major expenses.
8 is investments. What set of investment can help you to achieve your financial independence or goals? Then the 9 is what we call the taxes. Any income you make, GRA, Ghana Revenue Authority, expects that you pay some tax on it. Again, some of the obligations we assume comes with tax benefit. So we need to also investigate and know the tax benefit that comes or attributable to us based on our spending and then our expenses. Then 10 is what we call risk and risk management. Risk and insurance. Why? Because when you put up this investment, you have to protect this investment. And the way you can protect the auto, the car you have, the building you have put up, is to have insurance. And then the 11th or the last one is the estate and gift planning. That is where you have to get your will. If you are sick today, somebody should be able to take decisions for you. If you don't plan this aspect of your life, sometimes when you transition, it becomes problematic. After working all these years, instead of you to live in peace, you rather live and you leave trouble behind. We need to plan all this. When you were coming into the world, your parents planned for you. Now that you'll be exiting the world, you should be able to plan in such a way that you don't leave any problem behind. So estate and gift planning, which is the 11th block we have, talks about how you can distribute your wealth to maybe your children, to family members, to your church, to your old school, or to a charity group that you have around. That is the estate planning aspect.
Okay, thank you very much. Felix Ajete wants to know if there are any tools available to help with the personal financial planning you are speaking about.
Okay, we are the FA Association and then Improving Financial Awareness Movement. We have planning tools that individuals who have interest, you can make it available. You list your goals, you list what you think are important to you, and then you also try to put numbers to it, try to put numbers to it. And as you go through this, you realize that it becomes clear what goals are important. Because as you list them, you see the financial implication, you may be forced to do some realignment in terms of the the timing of them. So we have tools available. We can make them available to your viewers, and they can use that to plan themselves.
Okay, thank you so much. There's so many tools and so much information with this movement, so you don't want to miss out on it. So we have another question coming from Nanako Ajiman, and he's asking, if I have a debt, that's mortgage, how do I factor this into my financial plan?
Okay, if you have a debt, then factoring it will be under your cash flow. That will be an issue that will show in your cash flow because you have to service this mortgage. Servicing this mortgage, like Peter said, will imply that you have to pay part of the mortgage over time. This will definitely affect your cash flow pattern. So as you identify your assets, which is in one breath the mortgage that you have, and then also servicing it, which is in one breath becomes a liability to you. As you service it and it has its impact on your cash flow, you will know how to manage your cash flow. Again, you realize that over time, realize that this debt on the mortgage that we're talking about becomes an asset because the more you service the mortgage, the more the equity interest in the mortgage increases and it becomes your own, asset. So realize that in the beginning, there's a tilt towards one side in terms of the debt, but then in the end, the tilt turns in terms of the equity that you now own. So in terms of where it will be in your financial plan, the services of the mortgage affect your cash flows. And then if you want to look at it from the long term, it becomes an issue of major expenditure from the financial planning point of view.
Okay, thank you so much. And we have a question from Vivian Otokono, and she's asking, with taxes, is there anything I can do to reduce, I think she wants to say to reduce the taxes on her income?
That's interesting because the tax aspect has got more to do with the law and what the law says. The law has threshold. So minimum, no tax, then you move to another band. Then as you get more, you move to another band, and the band keeps increasing. So to reduce it on your income is more of a tax planning issue. If it becomes a tax planning issue, the question is, are you employed or you are a self-employed person? You need to look at that too. And then also you need to go and then find out what your family conditions present in the face of your tax obligation. If you have a child, if you have 2 children, if you have 3 children, all of them have tax implications for you. The more children you have, the more tax benefits you have. If you have a spouse who is working or not working, there is a tax implication for you. Many a times you don't look at it, but then if you talk to a tax planner or a tax expert, they will show you what the tax law says. And the tax laws give what we call reliefs. Tax reliefs for family situation where there's a husband and wife, where there's a child, where there are 2 children, where you even have dependents who are your parents. There are tax provisions that gives you tax relief. Talk to your finance director who pays the salary. Talk to them at the office, and then let them know your condition, your number of children. Sometimes you ask, how many children do you have under 18? You write them down, you write their names. These are all to help in tax planning purpose. And I believe if we do this, we'll be able to reduce our tax obligation through this tax planning method. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd just like to add that also with your pensions, if you take advantage of the Tier 3, which allows you to contribute up to 16.5% pre-tax, that's also another way of reducing your taxes and channeling the money towards your long-term, or let me say your retirement plan. So that's another way you can also reduce your taxes. But there are many other ways, and as Doc said, you can see a tax expert to provide you with the right information, or you can also reach us on Axis Pension Trust to also provide you with some information. Okay, so we have another question coming from Nana Cole again, and he's asking, would you advise taking a mortgage for building a house, or is it better to save and use your own funds?
Wow, this is an interesting question. Will you take a mortgage to buy a house, or you prefer to save to build your own house?
Yes.
Wow. Saving to build your own house is what we call using sweaty capital. Sweaty capital. So, you know, you go and buy 100 blocks, you put it down, you go and then you buy 2 trips of sand, you put it down. That is a very long process of, putting up the building. Again, individuals and other people have used that approach to have their own facility. Others have also gone through the mortgage part. You need to talk to your financial planner or financial advisor to look at your financial condition and then to see which of the 2 options can work for you. I will not be here and say on top of my head that go for a mortgage when I don't know the details of your situation. And I cannot recommend anything from that point. That would be too bad for me to do that. Again, I cannot say save to put up a building because I don't know what the situations are for you in particular. So what I would recommend is that you talk to a personal finance planner, a personal finance help, and then he or she will assess your situation and then help you to take a decision on which of the 2 options to exercise in your attempt of getting a building for your family or a home for your family. That is what I would say in this regard.
Okay, to add something to what Prof is saying. So before you can take some of these decisions, you need to get to know your true financial situations. You need to know, this comes back to your net worth and your cash flow analysis. So if you're able to know that, you can take further decisions based on your true financial situations. So yeah, if you see your financial planner, he or she will be able to guide you take that decision. And personally, I do financial planning as well. So if you see me, I can help you take that decision.
Okay, thank you, Peter. But it's interesting to note that, as Prof said, there isn't one solution for everybody. You realize that some people probably have access to cheaper mortgages as a result of where they work. Others don't have that available. Looking at your cash flow, is it something that you can afford now and in the long term, or is it something? So you need to look at all these things before a financial planner can advise you to go ahead. And sometimes you should have even covered the basics, like having an emergency fund and all that. So these are things that need to be looked at. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And before we continue with the questions, the question of the month, I hope you have your phones, your laptops ready. And the question of the month is, which of these are building blocks of financial planning? Which of these are building blocks, or it's a building block of financial planning? A, finding a well-paying job. A, finding a well-paying job. B, estate planning. B, estate planning. And C, investment consolidation. C, investment consolidation. So which of these are building blocks, or is a building block of financial planning? Okay, thank you. So we have another question from Jeffrey. Sorry, remember to drop the answer in your comment section, that if you're on Facebook Live or YouTube. If you are here with us on Zoom, drop it in the chat box. Don't let the pension voucher go. Make sure you grab it. So we have another question coming from Jeffrey, and he is asking, as a newly employed worker with a salary of $1,200, is it advisable to have a personal pension investment plan as well as a life insurance plan? So he's looking at his income. Given his income level, is a personal pension plan and an insurance plan a wise decision?
Okay, I would say that personal pension plan and insurance should not be determined by your income level, especially for the retirement aspect. In fact, there is no point in time that you say, oh, I have reached this point and I want to start planning for retirement. the best time to start planning for retirement is when you land your first job. In fact, from the first month, you have to start planning for your retirement, because you see, this is how it looks like. When you take your first paycheck, it is less one more paycheck you're receiving going forward. So once you begin taking the paycheck, you are unwinding all the future paychecks you're receiving month on month until you take your last paycheck, and then you exit the job market. So if you are receiving 1,200, there is a pension product that you can purchase from that 1,200. If you are receiving 1,200, there is an insurance product that you can purchase based on your 1,200. So I will encourage you to take that bold step now, to start with that take home of 1,200. When you talk to the pension fund providers or the pension managers, they will definitely have a product that can meet your needs. And I don't think they would like to sell you a product that will put you into a difficult living situation. No, they need to do business with you over the long term. So they will sell you a product that will make it comfortable for you to survive now, comfortable for you to survive in the medium term, and comfortable for you to survive in the long term. So the 1,200, I believe, is enough for you to start planning for your pension and also to purchase an insurance. Talk to the insurance companies, talk to the pension fund providers, and they will definitely have a product for you. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And definitely, Prof said so clearly. I mean, there's no special point where you have arrived, right? Where you know that yes, now it's time. And at any level, you can start doing something on your own towards your pension. So you'll be surprised at how little you need to start. So as he said, kindly reach out. Access helps with retirement planning. So you can reach out, and our product also has some life insurance support. So you can reach out to us and we'll definitely be willing to assist. Okay, there's one more question, which was going to be my final question anyway. So we've gotten to find out a lot about the movement and what we're doing in Ghana, which I believe is very great. How do we join as individuals, as organizations? How do we join and make sure that we are part of this and we also become advocates for financial literacy in Ghana?
Okay, so for us at the FA Association, that is the university wing of the movement, you can reach us through www.ugbs.edu.gh/association. So we are talking about www.ugbs.edu.gh/association. That is our website. Everything about us and the movement is available on our website. And once you get to us, we have what you call Join the Movement form. You just fill the Join the Movement form and we'll reach out to you when we have your details. Peter will also give us his NGO and how you can contact him.
Okay, thank you very much. With Center for Financial Literacy Education Africa, you can go on our website, cfleafrica.org, cfleafrica.org, and you get all the information that you need to know about us. You can also reach out to us on our social media platforms, CFLE Africa on all social media. And yeah, so basically, if you reach out to us, we will admit you into the movement. The movement is an all-inclusive movement, and you don't need to pay any amount. Just come on board and advocate for financial awareness and financial literacy. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So in Access, we also support this movement. So you can also contact us on 0302 738 555, 0202 0302-738-555. You can also visit our Axis blog. We have a lot of articles when it comes to financial literacy, and we are partnering with the association to make sure that we are able to, get this information. Our belief is that if everybody is financially well, the whole country gets the benefits, the whole ecosystem, and everybody gets the benefits, as well as you yourself. I mean, when you sleep, you can't sleep. So it's very important for us to have enough information and use it well, so that, we can benefit. Okay, so to the question of the week. Let me read the question of the week again, and then I will announce the winners. So the question of the week is, which of these is a building block of financial planning? Which of these is a building block of financial planning? And the options are A, finding a well-paying job. It's not bad. B, estate planning. C, investment consolidation. A, finding a well-paying job. B, estate planning. C, investment consolidation. And the answer is B, estate planning. So if you answered it correctly, you may stand a chance of being chosen as one of the lucky winners. Three lucky winners. Okay, we have the names in already. Today we have Michael Owusu and Mame Amaintifo. They were able to answer it correctly. Unfortunately, the others had it wrong. So sorry. So sorry you missed out on this one. It was quite a tricky one. But congratulations to Michael Owusu and Mame Amaintifo. So do contact us on 0302 738 555, 0302 738 555 to claim your pension voucher. Thank you so much, Dr. Amoah and Mr. Peter Yaku. We have learned so much. And when it comes to financial planning, you shared with us two major things: getting organized and then financial planning. And just so that we won't forget, I'll just briefly run through it. You said we should do our paperwork. We should look at our net worth, which is our assets minus our liabilities. We should look at our cash flow. That is all the income coming in. It could be remittances, whatever it is. Once it's coming in, it's income. We should look at our expenses. And then you also mentioned that we should look at our employee benefits, be it healthcare, insurance, provident fund, whatever it is. Let's look at it and let's look at how we can optimize it. You also mentioned financial planning, some of the building blocks. You mentioned the need to set long-term, short-term, and medium-term goals. You mentioned the need for financial independence and retirement planning, because there will definitely be that time where we need to have planned for that season in our lives. You mentioned the need to plan for major expenses. You mentioned tax planning, that there are ways that we can benefit, through tax savings or rebates. So we should look out for those. You also mentioned investments. These are vehicles that help us achieve whatever goals it is that we have set for ourselves. You also mentioned risk management, because after we have done all this, gotten the house, gotten whatever it is, there's a need for us to protect it. And we do that through insurance. And you also mentioned risk management. You don't want your family members to be fighting over, your property once you're gone. So you want to put a will or something down so that will guide how your properties are shared the way you want it.
Yeah.
And even if you are sick or ill and are not able to take decisions, you should have something to cover for that too. Thank you very much for these nuggets. I trust that we'll all start working on it so that we can have a very fulfilling financial life. I trust that this session has also been very, very important and essential I would also announce that Felicia Eje has also won. She won the last one. So that's great news, Felicia. At least we didn't take it back home. So till next month, make sure you are taking care of yourself. We have these sessions on a monthly basis, and next month we are going to be talking about something very, very, very exciting. You don't want to miss out on it. So tell your friend to tell a friend to join us once again next month. Also, follow us on all our social media handles so that you are up to date with all information we put out there. Till next month, have a lovely, lovely, lovely day and take care.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.